Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining. We are starting another edition of Airwaves Podcast, Kielley's Korner. And Steve Kielley, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming, sir.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Zach.
So good to see you, Steve. Ladies and gentlemen, today's jam session with Kielley and Kielley's Korner is going to be all about point-to-point 820. King of the Hill in the point-to-point license space. And, first, that's going to be our topic, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I just want Steve, let's have you go through who you are, why you're passionate about helping the WISP community and the wireless community in general, and what you do for Cambium Networks.
Sure, yeah. I'm the Cambium Regional Sales Manager for the Rocky Mountain Midwest. I was going to say Pacific and the West, but that was my previous role. And before that, I was up in Canada, so I've been kind of moved around a lot. But I've been doing the job for about 6.5 years, and I've really found a home with the WISP space. The wireless internet service providers, I think they're the MacGyvers of the industry. They're connecting people that need to be connected. Some say God's work, which I think is great, especially in these times with COVID. These guys are figuring out how to connect people that have been displaced and get kids education. And so I find it near and dear to my heart.
Love it. Yeah, it's October 26th. 2020, ladies and gentlemen. So we're on the tail end of COVID-19, or maybe even phase 2 of this flaring up again. Who knows? But certainly this has shined a big spotlight on the fact that America is, for the most part, underserved or unserved. I heard a soundbite or a statistic about America. We're 20th in the world ranking as far as internet connectivity, and for me, that's almost insulting. It's like, how can that be? But we're seeing a lot of kids trying to I think the latest thing I saw, there was a kid who walked 4 miles to get to school to use Wi-Fi in the parking lot, and he's sitting in the corner of the building outside so he can just do his homework. The WISPs are the folks that are rolling up the sleeves, connecting those kids so they don't have to do that. And there's a lot of federal funding around this. And why don't we talk about 820? How long has this product been on the market? And in your opinion, Steve, why is this thing so successful for so many years? And I already know how many years it's been on the market, but please hit us with it. Tell us.
Sure. Yeah, no, the 820 is a very mature platform. I mean, some would say long in the tooth, and it is showing some of its age, but we're ready to release the 850. But the 820 has been out for about 7 years, maybe 8. You could call it 8. And what made it so successful it was so ahead of its time with the dual core. It added 280 megahertz channels. It could do 1.2 plus gigabits of throughput. And when you think about that, like 7 years ago, that's pretty amazing. So it was so far ahead of its time that now some competition's caught up, maybe even leapfrogged in some really small places where, like an SFP plus port or higher order of modulation. But when you think about that, you can get around those two shortcomings for the time being. You can run 2 cables instead of 1, which is a little bit more of a hassle, but you can do it. And then, that extra order of modulation might get you 60, maybe 70 megs of throughput. But for the stability of the platform, the reliability of the platform, from a sparing perspective, I don't know that those would really make the justification to move away. And like I said, we have a brand new product coming. It's the PTP 850, and that will leapfrog once again and get us way out ahead.
Cool. Well, let's talk about 850 in just a minute here. Let's stick with 820. As far as faster alternative brands to Cambium Networks, what's really the true impact there? You kind of danced around it a little bit there, Steve, but give me some of the sound bites you're hearing every day in the sales role, in talking to people about, hey, let's embrace Cambium and the 820 platform. What are the faster alternatives, and what's that true impact, sir?
Sure. Yeah. So, the two things that I hear a lot about is that I need an SFP plus. An SFP plus allows you to run 1 cable down a tower. Sometimes you're paying for cable runs, and so you don't want to pay for an extra run. You just don't want to have 2 extra cables when you can get away with 1. So we've got a unique solution where we've got 2 cables built into 1 sheath that will actually solve the majority of the issue. But you still have to lag in the switch, and that's not something that some people like to do. Most of the people that we're talking to, they'll take a known quantity, something that's been serving them very well for a very long time. And, there's the saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And they'll just run the two cables. As far as from a speed perspective, when you get 4096 QAM, you get about 9% extra. But there's a lot more that goes into licensed microwave when you start talking to people that really geek out on this stuff and get into it. You've got your coding scheme, and the A20C is so mature. The coding scheme is very efficient. And so it's not 9%. It's more like 60, 70 megs difference. And that's if you can achieve 4096 QAM. So you need to have, the bigger dishes to get 4096 QAM or shorter shots. So it's not as simple as saying, if I get 4096 QAM in the hardware, that I can achieve it out in the field.
Got it. That makes sense. I was muted there, Steve, to give you the floor. I apologize. So, I think it would be beneficial for the audience at home. You've got 820C, you've got 820S. If you could walk us through kind of the alphabet soup of those two products, that would be very, very helpful.
Sure.
And anything I missed.
Yeah, no. So the 820S is a single core. So that's an 80 megahertz carrier. You're going to get about 675 megs out of that. It does 2048 QAM. And it's a very reliable radio. And one of the things that's very important that a lot of people don't talk about is total system gain. And when you look at the 820 line, even today, when you look at guaranteed numbers, not the theoreticals, the guaranteed numbers, we're actually ahead of the competition still by 1 to 2 dB. And that 1 to 2 dB can be the difference between achieving, a higher order modulation, or perhaps maybe even shrinking a dish size. So the A20C is the big brother of that. It basically has two radios in one form factor, and it's 280 megahertz channels. So you can do about 1.3 gigabits through that radio, and all the same things apply. 2048 QAM, very good total system gain. So very reliable radio.
All right, awesome. Let's talk a little bit more about the company behind the radios here, Steve. A lot of folks are, in selling environments, there's always first adopters who are wanting the new shiny toy, or, this now has 4096 QAM, or this can achieve, these speeds. If folks are thinking about going to an alternative brand, let's not bash the competition, but why don't we talk about the strengths of Cambium and what people get, what else is in the box, if you will, sure, Steve, when people buy 820?
Yeah, no, one thing that I've noticed doing this for only 6.5 years, and I've heard a lot of stories, you probably have plenty of history in this industry, is you've been doing this for 20 years now?
21, man. 21. I'm old. There's some grays in here.
Color in your beard then, huh?
Don't you lie to me. Yes, 21 years, man.
So 21, I even sold you short. But so when you think about, the company and Cambium and all the products that we have and all the industries that we compete in and we sell to, all the different, even geographically. So you think about the diversification we have in our products, in our geography, and in our industries. We're pretty healthy and pretty stable company. If oil and gas goes down, the WISP industry is flourishing. And so when you think about other competitive products, they've got like a one-trick pony. They sell licensed microwave and that's it. And you and I have both seen a lot of these licensed microwave companies where they have a great, really good hardware, they have some differentiating features, and they end up not making it. So now you're a network that has all of these license links out there that you don't have any support for, you can't find any hardware, and you end up having to rip and replace good radios just because the company didn't make it. So outside of the technical aspect of buying the radios, I try and get all my customers to think about, what about support? What about the financial health of the company? What, do they sell through a channel or do they sell direct? It's easy to sell direct and go cheap. But when you start to get a lot of customers, that's when you see these companies start to bend and maybe even break because they don't utilize Wave and distributors who can support them and help them with designs. And eventually they'll just get overloaded and now their support goes down and their cost and their margins are so thin they can't survive.
I get it. Thanks for the Wave plug there. So, folks, we are talking about licensed microwave radios here. One of the things that people may not know at home, Wave can help you with FCC coordination services, so we're more than happy to help folks there. And that obviously comes into what else is in the box. How else can we help you guys? Steve, are you hearing a little bit of a delay like I am, or am I good?
No, I hear you just fine.
Beautiful. All right,
I was going to say that, that I should have added this, but I feel like I'm maybe rambling a little bit, is that you got to think about how much time you spend doing your own coordination and what it's worth to you. And what I love about Wave and working with guys like Peter Cousins and Mark Billets is that you can have a customer who can call Mark and say, hey, Mark, I need to get a link from Asphalt Ridge to Dinosaur Ridge. And Mark's got everything in the link planner. And he's like, okay, what kind of throughput are you looking? Well, I need a gig. Okay, how high up on the tower are you going to be? And what number of nines do you want? And are you going to do fiber fed? Are you going to do copper? And so he can ask all those questions while the guy's in his truck driving to a job site, puts it all in, and he'll get the FCC coordination, get the order placed, and away it goes. So I think that there's something to be said about shopping and trying to save money. I do that with my own money, and we all do, right? Shop at Costco, try and stretch a dollar. But there's also the efficiencies of business. If you can go out and get 2 extra house installs while somebody else does your design for you for free, there's a huge amount of value in that.
Yep, absolutely. It really, if people are, as people are listening into this, it's the things I hear is just the amount of technical advice you're giving. Sure, you may have to run 2 cables up the tower, but is that going to impact the size of your dish? If you really need 4096 QAM, or is the 2048 going to do it? So there's this trade-off where an advisor like yourself, Steve Kielley, and a Peter Cousins, and a Mark Billets, and I don't know if you saw, Steve, but we just added Matt Musial to the crew to help us out. He's a long tenured, great sales guy as well. But we're here to advise and help and provide solutions. So
yeah, Matt's. No, I actually thought he was a RTM or a sales engineer. He's a very technical sales guy. A lot of value.
Yep. Absolutely. So let's look to the future a little bit here, Steve. You talked in the beginning a little bit about point 850. What do the kids at home get to look forward to with the 850? I'm excited. Tell us.
Yeah, so the 850 is everything that we talked about, SFP plus. It's got 4096 QAM, so it'll close that small gap in those areas that we have right now. But the coding scheme is very efficient. It has a robust roadmap. You can imagine that we're king of the hill after 7 years. Now we're launching a product that's going to put us back in that position, and so hopefully being the king of the hill for another 7 years. But higher orders of modulation will be available on future roadmaps. The ability to do layer 1 lagging, where you can go from an 850 and get 1.4 gigabits of throughput. And then you can also run that through an 850E, all layer 1, all hitless, all adaptive modulation, and all running down one cable. So it's going to be pretty slick radio, right out of the box.
Very cool. I love it. Steve, is there anything else we didn't discuss about 820 or 850 that we should before we wrap this thing?
No, I think we're pretty good. I think that knowing that you've got, distributors, Wave, doing all the planning and networking, making it really the easy button, where you just call up a guy that you've got a relationship with, and he does all of the planning and all of the FCC coordination, making it very simple so you can focus on what makes you money. And then, we're going to have really high-performing hardware, very reliable hardware, so you don't have to go back and play whack-a-mole on the tower and try and figure out why it's not working. And, just meeting customers' needs every day. And the whole ecosystem that we have, where you've got your routers and you've got your indoor-outdoor Wi-Fi and you've got your 2 flavors of point-to-multipoint, and then all these unlicensed and licensed backhaul options. We've got tons of licensed microwave, indoor, split mount, any architecture you'd ever want. But, the 820S, the 820C, the 850S, the 850C, those are going to be your licensed backhaul staples. So I think that's there's something to be said for all of that being offered through Wave and all the, you guys making it easy.
Awesome. Steve, I really appreciate it, man. If I can tip my cap to Cambium, and even dating back to Motorola Canopy. I showed my age. I'm 21 years into this thing. Our founder, Norm Dumbroff, still has a 900 megahertz radio on his house, still kicking, still delivering internet access to his home. It's just absolutely amazing. And the amount of R&D and the quality Cambium just puts in their products, dating back to the Orthogon days, the Motorola Canopy days. We're still seeing it here today in 2020. So I'm not surprised or shocked at all that the 820 has been king of the hill. I'm looking forward to what the 850 has to bring and offer the market. And it's just really exciting times for us. A quick shout out for offering a lot of subsidy and a lot of funding. We've had the CARES Act during COVID. We have RDOF. The auction is right around the doorstep here, or knocking on our doorstep on October 29th here. There's a lot of WISP partners in the community that have embraced Cambium before that are participating in that RDOF auction. We wish you guys the best of luck and hoping you get some federal subsidy there. And that's going to lead to connecting more of these students and businesses and all these areas that are either underserved or unserved. It's going to help connect America. So, Steve, thank you for doing what you do and helping that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget WISPA. I mean, I think WISPA has done an excellent job of advocating to the government, letting them know that wireless works and it delivers. So we've got a lot. I mean, like I said, it's like a family. And I think it's just cool. I think we got a lot of great operators out there serving customers, and it's changing the way we do things. I think that there's a silver lining to this whole COVID mess, and I hope that people can see it.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Kielley. Thank you, brother. This has been another installment of Kielley's Corner with Zach Hubeck and the one and only Steve Kielley with Cambium Networks. Thanks, man. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time.
All right, see you, Zach.